Hey everybody, Tekking here. Wanted to make a short video about this today. These are things that I sort of already discussed when I made my Jinbei discussion video in the, the Warlord series, so bing, 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 you could go check that out there. But considering this is something that Oda is probably going to do sooner rather than later, we're jumping on this train now, I wanted to make a video just discussing Jinbei potentially joining the Straw Hat Pirates and how that would go and your general thoughts on it. Now, I think it's also important to bring up that it's not really a question of is Jinbei going to join the Straw Hat Pirates? I think that one is pretty much set in stone. It's how long he's going to last or something else that's going to happen to him by maybe the end of this arc or maybe later on. Because in the last chapter, chapter 852, when Jinbei arrives, in the prison and he frees Luffy and Nami from Montador's book and he knocks out Opera and he's like, all right, we're all good to go. And then Nami's like, oh, well, why are you doing here, Jinbei? And Jinbei's like, well, my fishermen pirates, the Sun Pirates, they were allied with Big Mom's crew, and now I've cut all ties, so we're good to go. And you could totally read the situation like totally it's not good. It's like you're covering for something here, Jinbei, or you're making it look like everything's chill. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna free you, we're gonna grab Sanji, we're gonna get out of here, and we're gonna sail off into the sunset, and everything's gonna be hunky fucking dory. Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like that way at all, especially when you consider the last time that we saw Jinbei before this, when Jinbei was, confronting Big Mom, and, the whole reason he didn't join the crew back in Fishman Island was because I have to deal with some stuff first, I have to sever some ties from Big Mom's pirate crew, I'm already allied with them, I can't just join up with you because that might bring some shit on you if, I just defect without saying anything to Big Mom, and then I join up with the Straw Hats. That's not going to be good for anybody. So he wanted to cut ties with Big Mom first. Problem is, she's kind of clingy, and she's not the kind of person that just lets people go. I mean, she does, but there's a little something you have to give up in return. Hence, the wheel of pain, I guess I'll call it. I don't know. Anyway, by the way, most people always think that this is a roulette wheel, and if you know how roulette works, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Considering that there's icons, like, in the middle. Like, the whole point of roulette is you spin the wheel and then it lands on something on the outside, but if that was the case, what do the symbols in the middle mean? So I think this is more like a dartboard. I think that would make more sense, right? And I think given what we know about Big Mom's powers, the soul fruit, and how she can rip life out of people, and how we saw this board being used with, in Pedro's flashback, Pedro had his, crew, I forget what they're called, but they started with a Z, but the Nox Pirates, that's not a Z, but it's kind of like a Z, it's just a bent Z. The Nox Pirates got captured, and you had Pedro and his companion Zeppo, who was probably related to Beppo, and, they did the thing with the wheel, and Zeppo ended up losing 100 years of his life, so he ended up dying through that. And then, Pedro had to take up the slack, with the other years, and there was some change of the years, like Big Mom rounded up and shit, but basically they had to deal with 100 years. So I'm going to assume that, they used this as a dartboard, they landed on 100, and they had to divvy up, how many years get taken away from Zeppo and Pedro, and so Pedro had 50 years taken from him, and he's going to die rather shortly. And then you can see in the middle, we obviously have, you land on the leg or the arm, you lose a limb. If you land on the head, you probably get your head lopped off. That's an instant kill zone. We don't exactly know what's up with the king area, the crowns, or how that would work. Maybe that's a joker, or you get off free, or there's something else going on. I don't know. You also might notice how on the sides there's 1,000, and you might be thinking like, holy shit, 1,000 years of your life. I mean, that's kind of a high standard. You also have to consider that characters in the One Piece universe, I think Oda came out and said that in the One Piece world, characters can live up to 140 years perfectly fine. Like, that's like the average life expectancy. Then, of course, though, you have superhumans that can live longer than that, like Dr. Kureha. Dr. Kureha was 139 years old before the time skip. Now she's 141 years. And someone actually sent Oda a letter like, is she going to be okay? Because she's older than the average life expectancy. And Oda's just like, no. She's still superhuman, so she goes beyond other people, so she'll be fine. So even that's just an ordinary human can live upwards of even longer than 140 years. years, or around 140 years, but a superhuman could live longer than that. Then, of course, you have giants that can live on average for about 300 years. So the inclusion of, like, the 1,000 years on there, like, let's say an entire pirate crew gets kidnapped, you land on 1,000 years, you know, a lot of people are going to die, but it's not like a ridiculous number that can't be added up or something. Depends on how many people get captured, depends on if they're giants or not, depends what their life expectancy is, all that shit. So I think that's the way this dartboard works, and then Jinbei landed on whatever number, I don't know, or something else. You also see some decades, like tens, spotted in there. Anyway, something happened with Jinbei. He didn't lose an arm or a leg, he didn't get his head cut off, and he didn't lose an eye or anything. There's nothing visibly wrong with him when we see him in the recent chapter, but I believe something did occur with him and he lost a significant portion of his life, similar to Pedro, and that he wants to hurry up and get out of there to join the Straw Hats, and he's going to keep it a secret from them, obviously, or at least attempt to keep it a secret. It might get spilled later down the line. My point of the matter is, I don't think Jinbei, if he does survive this encounter with Big Mom, if they do get away, that's going to be something that's going to be looming over his head, and that's not going to be good. Now, Oda doesn't like to use a lot of death in the current storyline of One Piece. You know, all the deaths are usually reserved for flashbacks. Like, everyone dies in flashback land. Most people are okay. Like, you could probably count the number of people, the number of, like, main characters that have died in this series. You could probably count on, like, one hand the number of people that have died in the past, oh, shit. My phone. Sorry. In the past, story. You had Ace and Whitebeard and Monet, although I wouldn't really consider her a main character, but Monet did die. She got her heart fucking pierced, and then she got caught up in a massive explosion. I'm going to assume she's dead. But yeah, that's the case with that. So it would be a pretty big shocker if Oda did that, if Oda ended up killing, if Oda ended up killing off Jinbei. But I would say it's not completely in the realm of impossibility. Jinbei's story is that of regret and guilt during the time that he was allied with Arlong. Remember, there was a point where he was kind of along the same line of Arlong. He wasn't as, like, brutal as Arlong was, but he didn't like humans. And the same thing with Fisher Tiger. Fisher Tiger detested humans. And so they were going around and they weren't that great. And you had Oda spouting off, no, we should be friends with humans. And Jinbei didn't really agree with that. It wasn't until the whole ordeal, of course, that didn't make it any better when, Fisher Tiger got killed. That didn't make it any better either. But eventually, when he encountered, Ace and eventually the Straw Hats, I think that changed him a little bit there, and he changed his attitudes toward the world, especially after he learned about, how dastardly, the Marines and the world government are. He went through his redemption, and you see that when he fought alongside the Straw Hats in Fishman Island, and he fought against the new Fishman Pirates, which were like the embodiment of what Arlong represented. That was Hody Jones' like role model, like Arlong. He's the one, he got it right. We need to kill those fucking humans. And Jinbei, he had his sense of redemption where he got together and he, with the Straw Hats, and he fought off the new Fishman Pirates, and he's like, okay, I'm redeemed now. So I could see from Jinbei's perspective, like, I don't even care if I only have a year left on this world. I had my regret, and now I'm redeemed. I kind of just want to go and sail with the Straw Hats, for whatever time I have left. I want to enjoy my life, and I want to pay them back for the stuff that they helped me with. Yeah, that's the go. Also, one more thing. I'm not going to take credit for this. I found this on Reddit, of all places. But there is a little note I just wanted to bring up because I thought it was rather interesting. Maybe a hint that Oda dropped us that Jinbei is going to be the next crew member. Like, once I said, I'm fine with Jinbei being a Straw Hat. I think that would work perfectly. One of the main problems I had, though, going into the new world was like, okay, Luffy said he wanted to have a crew of at least 10 members, and now we're going into the new world. We already have the 9 members, so the Straw Hats are wicked strong. Who are we going to... there has to be a character that's introduced that we know and that we feel like, okay, we can feel for this guy becoming a Straw Hat. but it's going to also have to be somebody really strong that's on the level of the Straw Hats right now in the new world. That was my issue going into it. And then they bring up Jinbei, and I'm thinking, oh my god, that works perfectly. He's been introduced prior to the time skip, Impel Down, Marineford, he's already, for a long time there, he was a member of, like, Luffy's, like, de facto crew, after he got separated from the Straw Hats, so we know shit about Jinbei, and then you have the whole Fishman Island arc that elaborates on it further. And even then, Oda takes a little bit of time. It's like, no, we're not going to have Jinbei join just yet. And I would have been fine with him joining at the end of the Fishman Island arc. Obviously, he couldn't because of the Sun Pirates. The Sun Pirates ally with the Big Mom Pirates. But I would have been fine with Jinbei joining up then. That would have been cool with me. So then Oda's like, no, we're going to give it a little bit more time. We're going to wait until he has the whole thing with Big Mom's Pirates and the Whole Cake Island. That's going to be fleshed out a little bit more. And then after all that shit, we're going to have him join. But there was a little bit of a note here that I found it was kind of funny. So this was a comparison from a title page, right? And Oda always does throw in little Easter eggs in the title pages and in, like, the backgrounds, so you can't just write this off. So you have this scene where all the Straw Hats are wearing shirts that have numbers on them designating, designating their crew, when they join the Straw Hats, and, like, their children in front of their adult counterparts. And then on the side there, you see Jinbei on a cover page, and you see a little kid with a number 10 crawling on him. I feel like Oda pretty much put that in there on purpose. When Oda was think about that. Oda was drawing Jinbei on the cover page, drawing children, playing with them, crawling up on him or whatever. And Oda had to instinctively think, what could I put on the back of one of these kids' shirts? I think I'm going to put the number 10. No reason why I'm putting on the number 10. I'm just putting the number 10 on his shirt. Jinbei is going to join the crew. Jinbei is definitely 100% going to join the crew, but it's not going to be that simple. There's going to be something looming over his head longer, and let me put it this way. If he did join the Straw Hat Pirates, and if there was ever going to be a death in the Straw Hat Pirates, it'd be Jinbei. It would be Jinbei. Most certainly. I have no doubts in my mind that would be the case. But you know what? That wouldn't be like a cheap thing. It wouldn't be like, oh, he's killing off a Straw Hat. Oh, of course, it's the one that just joined. It's Jinbei. No one cares about Jinbei. No, Jinbei. People care about Jinbei. Jinbei's been set up in the story for a long time now. Okay? Granted, he appeared rather late in Impel Down and shit, so he doesn't have as much backstory, as much elaboration as all the other Straw Hats that have been on the crew for a long time, but, I still think that if he were to die, that would be impactful, because, like, oh my god, he's been through so much shit, and he was redeemed, and now he just wants to be free. He just wants to sail with the Straw Hats and help them out and reward them for the stuff that he's done for him. And then he ends up dying because just the chains of the past were weighing him down so much, and he still ended up being killed. I think that would be very emotional. I think that would matter. But hey, there's no guarantee he might die. It might be a thing with, like, it might be a thing like, remember how Roger was in his final journey. Roger, they made it to Raftul, and then he died after. But he still died. So, yeah, Jinbei, I'm not against you joining the Straw Hats. I love that idea. I love that concept, but you might not be making it out alive by the end of this story. That's what I'm saying. And I feel like that's more of I would say, I don't want to say I'm like a strong opinion of that, like it's like a 90-10, but it's like a 50-50 shot. You might be dead by the end of this. I think that's rather fair to say. But anyway, what do you guys think? What do you think about Jinbei joining the Straw Hats, and what do you think about him possibly dying through the actions of Big Mom, taking out his soul? You also might think that there might be a way to reverse that. Like maybe Big Mom, she takes away life, but maybe she can give it back. Maybe that might be a plot thread you might want to follow. I don't know. But, yeah, I would say 50-50 shot. It's almost certain 100% he's going to join the Straw Hats, but 50-50 shot he might not make it out alive by the end of this story. But anyway, yeah, I love you, Jinbei. You're pretty, you're not my favorite warlord or anything, but you're pretty cool, bro. You're pretty cool. I like the blue skin. It kind of makes it work. And the Oni appearance you got going on there. I would love to see him interact with the other Straw Hats. That would be kind of cool. Like on the ship, just chilling out. Because he's just the kind of guy that you can't see just chilling out with the other Straw Hats. But I think that would be kind of funny. I think Oda could spin that to make it kind of funny. Maybe he'll add a different tattoo on the sun. Maybe he'll add a straw hat and a crossbones on the sun on his chest. Maybe that would be cool. Anyway, though, I said this was going to be a quick video, and I was interrupted a bunch of times by my phone, but I hope you took away the message of this this part of the seminar. I'm going to get going now. I actually have to go to work, but thanks you guys for watching. Tekking101 signing out. Later, guys. Good luck, Jinbei.